Good afternoon, good morning, everyone, wherever you are, and hope everybody is keeping safe and well during these trying times. So, and first of all, thank you for the organizers, and thank you for everybody that is tuning in today to spare some time from their busy schedule. Over the next 20 minutes, I'm going to walk you through a discussion about resiliency on data centers and what's happening around the world as outages and what are the challenges are being faced by many organizations around resiliency, and how we as Uptime Institute, along with the tier standards, and we can help, and are we helping organizations improve resiliency and on their physical infrastructure. So before we start, I would like to give you an overview about Uptime Institute, who we are and what we do. So Uptime Institute is considered as the digital data center authority around the world. We've been in this industry now for more than almost 3 decades now. We are very well known about the tier standard. We are, in fact, the author of the tier standards, and we are the only organizations that actually manages and administers the tier standards around the globe. We've worked with thousands of data centers and hundreds of clients, including Fortune 500s, protecting their business and helping them achieve high resiliency and high level of availability in their infrastructure while maintaining operation excellence on this physical infrastructure. So we have a broad portfolio as Uptime Institute. So in addition to the tier standards and the tier certification, we do a lot of services and we help a lot of clients around the globe in many other issues and challenges. So we do a lot around operations and management at the centers. We have clients build facility management operations programs and build operations teams and programs and policies, procedures, and training programs and all of that. And in addition to that, we do a lot around advisory, comes to cloud governance, sustainability, IT management, IT operations. Also, we do a lot around strategic advisory when it comes to building data centers or optimizing an IT infrastructure, and also help organizations at the leadership level where we enhance the way that the organization actually performs, the efficiency at the corporate level as well. We do a lot of education courses. We've trained thousands of professionals around the globe. We'll do a lot also in terms of assessments, either on IT or infrastructure, where we help clients solve many challenges when it comes to operating and managing their data centers, as well as enhancing their IT. We have also a global platform, what's called Uptime Institute membership or Uptime Institute network. We have also an online platform where we publish all our research, and our clients can access that. And also it is a global platform where you can meet peers from the industry, from all the verticals around the globe. So it's a very interesting platform where we can share and gain from others' experiences and expertise around the field. So this is what we do as Uptime Institute and as an organization, and this is where we're helping the market address many challenges at several levels within the ICT sector. So before we start talking about what we do in standards and all of that, I want just to give a perspective about the challenges that are still being faced by our industry when it comes to data centers. We run every year a survey, a global survey as Uptime Institute. It's very well known now. We've been doing it for the last 10 years, and it's well received in the market every year. And actually, it is actually weighted by the industry, and it is reused by many organizations across the globe. So based on this year's results, we see that still 69% of the people that participated in the survey have faced outages over the last 3 years. So the numbers are still high, are not reducing. We saw some improvement due to the COVID-19 because less interaction with the humans with this data center. So that has actually led to a little bit like reducing the outages, but still the numbers are too high. 44% of those outages have been significant in terms of cost, reputation, as well as the time for this organization. Even 20% of those outages had massive impact on this. We're talking about above $1 million in terms of cost impact into this, in addition to reputations and also time and recovery and all of that. So when it comes to the reasons, the leading reasons into this, or leading causes, we're still seeing that the power is the main issue. So 43% of the outages that have been actually suffered by the people we surveyed actually caused by power, whether UPS or electrical distribution or generators. Still cooling and software and IT errors and even network issues are still troubling, but are less than the power. So the leading causes are still the same. When we talk about outages, we're still talking about power, we're still talking about network, cooling, and IT. The other causes are still rare, are not happening as often as they used to be. What's very important, and it's very actually troubling, is that the frequency of those problems at the third-party providers, based on the feedback we got either from those third-party providers or the enterprise clients that are actually using them for several services, is increasing. So it's still a challenge, and because of those facilities, the size and the growth and this kind of organization, we definitely are expecting those kind of outages to increase as well. When it comes to the cost and the reputation of those outages, 7%, we saw an increase of 7% on the outages that have cost more than $100,000 for those organizations. 15% of those outages cost more than $1 million. And this is for 2021, which is very, very high. And if we're going to see that this costs is going to increase more and more over the years to come because of the dependency. Our dependency on digital services is going to increase. I know, I'm sure we have seen during the event today talking about IoT, all this emerging technology, all used in achieving digital transformation in all the organizations around the globe. So especially in India and as well outside India. So we're going to see strong SLAs to be expected, and we're going to see more also attention of regulators into this to regulate more this. So those outages are costing more, are having a serious damage on the reputation of the organization. We have seen recently in India, one of the major banks were in the news. So it's the same everywhere. We're seeing many cloud providers, many enterprise, many government entities are being in the news today. We have seen recently the outage of Facebook as well. So those outages are going to increase in cost, in damage to the reputation of the organization. So looking at resiliency, it is very, very important. And it is one of the challenges that organizations will be facing and continue to face in the future. The good thing is that 76% of these outages that have been reported are preventable with better resiliency of infrastructure, better management, and better processes when it comes to the operations of those data centers, which is a good thing. So which means that a better, strong, more resilient data center, well operated and maintained data center are suffering less from those outages, and the outages that could be suffered by those facilities are being prevented by the teams due to the resilient infrastructure they have designed and built, as well as the better and operations and processes that are in place, where they have worked hard to achieve this excellent level of operation that helps them prevent outages related to any processes or human errors or something like that. So outages are still there, but there is a way of preventing it with better resilience and better operations and management of those data centers. So based on what we've been doing as Uptime over the years, what we've seen is that more than 70% of the project actually that go through the certification with Uptime have some sort of failure when we do the testing on site. This is always due to lack of commissioning, due to deviations from the design, contractors trying to cut corner or lack of consistency through the design to the construction. So always when we push the facility to limits based on our methodology, we find out that there is always tests that fail in those facilities. And this is applicable to small organizations, to Fortune 500 organizations. It is not only limited to small or medium, it's limited to all organizations across the board. So we're still finding the same challenges and the same issues with all the facilities that we assess and certify as uptime. So resiliency, it's very important, and organizations, they need to do more when it comes to constructing, commissioning, and implementing the designs on site. So why those actually such expensive investments fail? It's very simple, because if you look to build the center today, it's a multidisciplinary projects that require several suppliers, several subcontractors, several manufacturers to be involved. There are several disciplines to be managed. So to keep the KPIs, or to keep the consistency across all the parties involved and across all the phases of the project, it is very challenging and it is very difficult. And without mentioning that the errors of the contractors and the contractors trying to cut corners during the construction process. So in order to do this, that's why we come into the picture as Uptime Institute, to maintain this level of KPIs, to set the same standard to everyone. So everybody involved in the project has to work to achieve a specific standard and has to work hard in order to fulfill the requirement that we set as Uptime Institute during the design, as well as during the construction and the operations as well of the project. So the other point as well is the cloud. So a lot of people said we're gonna move to the cloud, we're gonna outsource the accountability to the cloud. That's the biggest mistake they could make. Still, behind the cloud, there are still some physical infrastructure where issues could happen on the design or on the construction of the facility, as well as the operation of this facility. I've seen all over the news the outages that have happened in those major cloud providers. So when you outsource your workloads to the cloud, it does not mean you outsource the accountability. You still have to deal with that. So that's why most of the organizations that we interviewed, they are still, there is still moving to the cloud, but a lot of them would move faster to the cloud if they gain more transparency or adequate visibility into the resiliency of public cloud operations like Azure, AWS, Google Cloud, and other platforms when it comes to architecture availability and management processes and the full understandings of the options they have in mind. With that said, so we see that the center owners and operators are increasingly moving their critical workloads to the cloud, but we see that 25% of those will actually will likely to do so if they gain this kind of visibility. So we're definitely going to see more regulation and more. We're seeing it already in Europe and in North America. We are seeing more regulation and more push to gain visibility and transparency to what the cloud providers are doing to protect the small and medium enterprises, as well as government entities when they move to the cloud, so they get the services that have been promised and they don't go through challenges and very expensive and costly processes of moving to the cloud and ending with less resiliency, with less performance that they have in their own physical infrastructure. So when it comes to uptime, so what we do, and through the certification process, or through when you go through the certification with Uptime Institute. So before we talk about the standards and tier 1 to tier 4, so we are considered as the de facto standard in the market, and very well known. And everybody, when you tell him about tier standards, it's something that comes to mind very quickly, because we are performance based. We don't impose a checklist to our clients or the consultant or contractors we work with. So we encourage doing it your own way, as long as you meet the requirements. We allow innovation, and it is certifiable by the author, by ourselves as Uptime, where we ensure the consistency and the reliability and the performance expected by the clients. We've helped this way protect billions of dollars of investment across the world and brought peace of mind to organizations into that. So it is Uptime, it's adopted across the globe because performance-based, and it doesn't impose a checklist, and it encourages innovation, so it doesn't limit designers or contractors or even owners of data centers to innovate and adopt new technologies while still maintaining the requirement of the tier standards when it comes to the process. So when we talk about the tier standards, there are four. Our tier standards, just to clarify, are written with Roman numbers. So that's just a clarification. So there are tier 1 to tier 4. The tier 1 is a basic capacity, which means you don't have redundancy on your components, nor a redundancy on the electrical nor mechanical distribution, and it's susceptible to failure, of course. Tier 2, you have a redundant on the components themselves, but you don't have a redundancy on the electrical nor on mechanical distribution, and it's susceptible to fault. The tier 3, what we call concurrently maintainable, which means that if you can maintain and replace any component, system or subsystem of the data center without impacting your operations or IT operations. The tier 4 is a fault tolerant, which means that it can sustain any event, whatever is the event, planned or unplanned, without having a single impact on the IT operations of the data center. So it doesn't have any single point of failure for when it comes to tier 4. Usually, the best tier to go with is the tier that actually meets the best of your objective. The majority of the people we work with go for tier 3. A tier 3 that is well operated and maintained usually achieves or helps the organization achieve the performance that they're looking for and meets without any issue their business objective. Also, tier 4, we've seen a lot of organizations go for a tier 4. And the majority that people choose is tier 3 and the tier 4. So what are the certifications we do? So certifications, there are 3 when it comes to tier certification. One is design, constructed facility, and operation sustainability. The design is valid for 2 years, but when you achieve the facility, both design and facility become valid for the life cycle of the data center. The only certification we renew is the operation sustainability, because it is related to processes, it's related to people. Those are things that evolve with the time. People leave, people change, processes evolve, enhanced or improved. So we have to come back every 1 or 2 or 3 years to the organization to evaluate the performance of the operations team overall, either as in people or either as processes or policies, to make sure they're maintaining the same level or doing better or enhancing to overachieve what they have done during the first audit. So how we do it is very simple. So during the design, it is very straightforward process. There is a certain package we ask from the consultant, and then it goes through an iterative review process. And once all the documents have been submitted from the consultant, achieve the requirement, we award the first certification. We don't see any challenge doing this. Usually with qualified consultant, it's always a straightforward process, and it takes a couple of reviews. And then at the end of the process, we award the design certification for the client. The facility certification is a shorter in time. So what we do is that we develop a test that is a custom test methodology, a test list that is customized to the data center. We don't bring tests from somewhere and impose them. No, it's a customized list of tests that we develop to the specific design and a specific data center, and we share that with the contractor ahead of time. So we ask them to prepare, and then when we come on site, it takes 5 to 6 days. We go through the testing with the facility team and the contractor. We'll make sure that the facility is built according to the design without any corner cuts, without any deviations from the design, and make sure that the client actually, the owner, gets what he pays for. And we push the facility to its limits, to the maximum capacity of the design. And then after, with the successful completion of all the tests, we award the second certification, which is the operation, which is the constructed facility. The operation sustainability, it's a different process. This is an assessment and a review of documentations of operation, as well as interviewing of the site operations team. It has 3 levels. The score is from 0 to 100. If you achieve between 70 and 80, you get the bronze, that's valid for 1 year. If you achieve 90 to 80, silver, valid for 2, gold above 90, all the way to 100, valid for 3 years. There are certain principles. We make sure that everybody then involved in the operation is informed about what he has to do, and the policies and procedures and whatever is related to his job description. He makes sure that he practices that. So we interview and we ask that to be demonstrated. And also the management layer, we make sure that proactively manage and improve this to prevent outages, as I mentioned earlier, rather than reacting to them. We focus on 3 categories: management operation, the building characteristics, and the site location of the site into that. So these are the 3 certifications. When it comes to the benefits of the program in general, there are several benefits that you can get as an owner when you call this. So you definitely increase the resilience and the availability of the data center. You protect your business against any loss caused by weak links in the infrastructure. Set the KPIs, as mentioned earlier, because of the complexity of building the data centers and the multidisciplines that are in there. So we set the same KPI, so everyone that is in the project is involved to make sure that they maintain the same performance. We make sure that any error or corner cuts is eliminated during the construction process. Consistency is set throughout the entire project. Prevent over-engineered and complex solutions. A lot of people, they overdo things while it could be simply maintained to reduce the cost and all of that. The ability to fail during the testing without suffering that 5 years down the line while operating the data center. I said reduce and eliminate due diligence into this. You can reduce your insurance premiums. Uptime Institute is well recognized by the global insurance companies while negotiating insurance premium for your data center. You can show certifications from Uptime. We've helped organizations save 10 all the way to 40% of their insurance premiums. Of course, to the management, demonstrate that you have the right infrastructure to perform and to support your capabilities and your business objectives. And the last thing is definitely reduce exposure to downtime and outages on those data centers where we're seeing it. It's happening, still happening around the globe today. So we help organizations build resilient, highly available infrastructure, data center infrastructure, and we help them well operate and maintain those to achieve operation excellence. That's what we do in Uptime, in a simple word, and protect business of people. We are in the business of helping our clients to protect their investments, and data centers are not cheap to build. So we are there to help them protect such investments. So the last slide is we'll talk about some conceptions and myths about Uptime. So to clarify this, one is that you need multiple feeds from the utility to achieve tiers. No, it's not true. We consider the utility as the economical source of power. So you don't have to have multiple feeds to achieve certification, even at tier 4. You can have tier 3 without Uptime. That's false as well. We are the only organization that administers and certifies data centers, administers tier standards, certifies against the tiers. So we own the IP. We manage this directly. Also, the confusion with Uptime. With TIA, we have no affiliation with TIA whatsoever. There are telecommunication standards globally, and there are other organizations that certify against this, but as Uptime, we have nothing to do with that. We are US-centric? Absolutely not. We are present in more than 110 countries. We've done more than 2,500 data center certifications. So most of our business actually is outside the US at the moment. So component count, no, it's just, this doesn't mean tier level. It is the entire facility that we look at, not only the components. Tier 4 is the best. No, the best tier is the best that answers your business objectives. We don't require this 72, 96 hours of fuel storage or thermal storage. We require 12 hours. So this is a myth as well, is a confusion. Site location affects tiers. No, we don't look at that when we design and facility. We look at it during the operation. So we help the client to choose the right location from the beginning. we don't require S4 as well. So there's some of the myths that we've been hearing in the market. So I just wanted to take some time to clarify this and bring some clarity to this to the audience today. So just to summarize the discussion today, outages are still happening, are still costing, and those outages are costing more. But the good thing is that those outages can be prevented with better infrastructure and better operations. Regulation is expected to oversight and bring accountability of resiliency as expected. So make people accountable about this. Training and skills improvements can help improve the operations and reduce outages when we talk about the better management and processes. Cloud providers lack transparency. That is a fact. We expect more regulation around that. As Uptime, so we have more than 2,500 certification across over 110 countries, where we help millions, hundreds of clients protect billions of dollars of investments across the globe. So, and this happens, as we said, with all organizations, not limited to one or two organizations across the globe. And the certification process, it's straightforward. If you follow Uptime Institute guidance, and you can achieve tier certifications without any problem. And it's been proven by people achieving certifications in 110 countries. So when you follow the process, it can be done without any challenges. That was the last slide of my presentation. Please feel free to raise any questions. And also, there are the contact details of one of my colleagues. My colleague Vishal is out of India. Reach out to him. If you have any question or clarification, we'll be more than happy to address.